Hey there, welcome to the Modern Spirituality Show. I'm Ben Decker, and I'm super excited about this episode. I'm here with my good friend Jeffrey Segal, and I'm going to do a full introduction of him in just a second. But I have to just thank our sponsor, Open, for sponsoring this episode and all episodes this month. Open is a mindfulness app built to transform your life. And you can experience the power of combining breathwork, meditation, sound, and movement, both Pilates and yoga, to strengthen your mind-body connection. Practice with some of the best teachers in the world, anywhere, anytime. You can experience Open for free for 30 days with my promo code. And that promo code is Decker VIP 30. And you can go to withopen.com/Decker VIP 30. And that link is going to be in the show notes too. And so guys, this helps us out. Every time you use that link, every time you share that link with anyone, that helps, not only helps whoever you're sharing it with experience breathwork, meditation, sound, yoga, and Pilates free for an entire month, both live classes and on-demand classes with awesome teachers. I know many of these teachers. I practice with these teachers. Not only does it give you and your friends that free month, it also helps the show keep going. It lets that app know that this is a great show to sponsor. So if you like this show, support us by supporting yourself. And that link again is withopen.com/Decker VIP 30. So thank you, Open, for sponsoring this. We love you so much. And I actually do get a lot out of that app. That's my favorite app for breathwork specifically. If you want to practice with my favorite teacher, his name is Chris, and he's on there, and I take his live classes. So sometimes you'll actually see me on the live class. Again, withopen.com/Decker VIP 30. Thank you so much. Okay, Jeff, thank you for being here. Guys, check it out. This is Jeffrey Segal. He's the author of the tiny book of Big Manifesting. He's the founder of Mystic Journey LA, which consists of Mystic Journey Metaphysical Bookstore in Santa Monica and the Mystic Journey Crystal Gallery, which sells some of the greatest, most beautiful crystal specimens that I have ever seen. Which is also in Santa Monica. Jeff went from lawyer to bookstore owner to crystal gallery owner to life coach and newly published author. And along the way, he actually experienced what turned out to be a needed encounter with cancer that was resolved through natural healing as he traveled down this particular path. Can't wait to talk to you more about this. Thank you for being here, Jeff.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking very forward to our conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And congratulations on your book. This is your first book, The Tiny Book of Big Manifesting.
Yes, thanks. It's been as all creative projects really do. It took a little while, and but I was blessed enough to have a wonderful publisher, Red Wheel Weiser, take my book and help me with it and put it out there. And the feedback I've gotten is wonderful, and it lays out, teachings that I've been given, the teachings that I've used to create Mystic Journey Bookstore and Mystic Journey Crystals, and to help me, through my cancer, and then, also brings in sort of my life philosophy to blend them together. And it's a small book, and it's an easy read. Everybody tells me it's about, a day or two is all, but they get so much out of it. And the feedback's just been great.
Yeah, and you actually have a great foreword by Don Jose Ruiz, who's of course the son of Don Miguel Ruiz, and he's the co-author of the Fifth Agreement bestseller.
Yeah, here, look, I even have, of course, I have a copy.
Nice.
So I'll share that with everybody.
Book. I got to go to the book launch event at Mystic Journey. Brought a few friends. We had a great time that day. Have a couple cute photos with you. Got my autographed copy and everything. So thank you so much for that. You had some great endorsements.
Yes, I had Michael Beckwith endorse my book. Michael has been a friend of Mystic Journey for some time, and his wife as well. She did an event with us, and he's just been great for us. And Shaman Durek, who is big on social media now, has written, a couple of books, which we carry in our store. And so he endorsed as well. And it's the whole experience, of people coming and supporting me and Mystic Journey has just been, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I remember Michael Beckwith actually came to our grand opening event for the original Crystal Gallery when it was on Lincoln.
Yes.
When we first opened, he came. Remember, we stood in a circle in the loft. We held hands. He blessed the space, blessed the business, and everything that day.
Yes. It was
Yeah.
just, like it just goes through. I mean, I've led and continue to lead a blessed life, and have all these people in the universe supporting me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about your mystic journey, how you got to this place now. We can rewind a little bit, but I think for me, what's especially interesting is how a lawyer and political hobbyist, I guess you could say,
That's good, right?
And how you went from that into what seems so disconnected from politics, from the legal profession, in the exploration of the esoteric, the metaphysical, and naturopathic paths. So what was that journey like? Was it your cancer that actually inspired that journey?
Well, it's interesting. It's some of that, but it really began, and both things are connected to two important events in my life. There's spiritual teachings out there that talk about how the challenges that one is presented with in their life create the greatest opportunities for growth and change. And so I've really had two events like that, and really sort of led me down, began and continued to lead me down my spiritual path. The first was when I was in law school. I had gone to a psychic reading, and at the end of the reading, and this woman actually, this reader actually predicted my law career years before the field of law I was in actually was created. But at the end of the reading, I said, I'm interested in metaphysical stuff. It was just sort of floating around in my mind, but I was more interested in, new age stuff, as it was called back then. And she gave me, she's like, well, look, you should, here's a business card. You should reach out to this organization. And I was like, okay, great. And then, like, I guess so many people, whatever, I just stuck it in my wallet, and that was it. And that was it until I failed the bar exam. And that was really the first great challenge in my life. Was because I had been very successful in school and everything was pretty good. And here I was, and I failed the bar exam, and I took out that card. That was, the blessing of failing the bar exam was it led me to take the card out of my wallet, and I called this organization, and they're called Builders of the Adytum. They're online at bota.org. And this is a worldwide spiritual organization that provides teachings to the people who are affiliated with him. And back then, which was, goodness, in the 80s, I signed up, and they would send out in the mail weekly lessons, and I did these for 20 years or more. And on a weekly basis, you read something, and then there was a practice every week. And that was really, I had some experiences earlier in my life, some, I don't know, metaphysical, other world phenomena experiences. So I had a little bit, but this is really what started me on my path. And then just to jump to the cancer. I mean, I wanted to get out of, after 20, I don't know, 15 years or so, I wanted to get out of law. And as I say it, I wanted to get out of law so bad, I gave myself a cancer, because it finally pushed me out. It was the catalyst to finally take the leap, and trust that the universe would provide somehow, because I knew that if I stayed in law, literally, this isn't a figurative statement, I was going to die. So, and that was really, the next step. And in that moment, I was like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I really have to get out. And I chose what I was most passionate about, which was my spirituality, which had come from the lessons I had received from Builders of the Adytum.
Wow. Okay. And so when what about the time when you received the cancer diagnosis? What was that? What were you going through at that time?
You know, I had really, I mean, just to go back for a second, I had really wanted to get out of law terribly for years and years and years. And I was stuck by the golden handcuffs of the money. And, you know, and then one day I woke up and I had like a pain, and after 3 months, they had diagnosed what it was. And, you know, I went to have surgery, and they were like, we got it early, you're good to go. And I went back to law. And they're like, all you need to do is, you know, take the follow-up test. They'll be fine. Everything's good. So I went back to law, and the first follow-up test, they're like, oh, sorry, we missed some. It's in your lymph nodes now, and you have to have, you know, you should have chemo. And
did you end up having chemo?
no, I didn't. And what it was in that moment, there was just some intuitive knowing that that was not for me. That wasn't the path that I should follow. And it wasn't, you know, I think a lot of, I mean, I don't want to speak for other people. It would be easy to hem and haw over what to do. And there was no choice about it for me. It was like, I'm not going to do that. There has to be another way. And it was interesting and funny. My best friend's my doctor, and I told him I'm going to do some type of natural healing. And he was really super scientific. And he's like, can't do that. You know, you got to do the chemo. And I'm like, no, I'm really not. And he was like, well, let's make a deal. And he's like, I'll give you do your foo-foo natural healing stuff for 90 days and let's retest. And then we'll see where we're at. Okay. And I'm like, okay, deal. So I put together a team of natural healers. I had an acupuncturist, I had a body worker, I had a regular therapist, and I had an energy worker, a crystal healer. And it was amazing. All these people just, it took no effort. They just came into my life. They were presented to me through, you know, I put out to the universe, I need this team. And they came to me, and we started all working together. I mean, it really was a team. And in 90 days, I took this test again, and the abnormality they had found in my lymph nodes had shrunk 50%.
Wow.
And so then I went back to my friend. I'm like, hey, do I get another 90 days? And he was like, okay, I'll give you the 90 days. And in another 90 days, it had disappeared completely.
Wow. That's incredible.
And it was really, again, it was just such an intuitive knowing that it was not my path to do the chemo. And, you know, and in that time, going through that, you know, what amounted to 6-month period, I took a full sabbatical from my law job. And I made the decision, okay. And I still have a picture of when I went back to the law the first time. And I had that picture. I'm like, I ain't doing this again. And so I was off, and then I went back part-time so that I could start the bookstore and still, you know, get the revenue that I needed to live on. But I had all these, you know, it's the same. It actually brings me back to the beginning of the conversation. I had these amazing people around me at the law firm who still, even when I was part-time, did all of the hard work. I really just it was like the easy part, just telling them what to do.
Wow. So that probably affected your health significantly, your stress, the sabbatical.
Yeah, no, it was a life changer. And you know, the cancer, you know, knock on wood and everything else, you know, it's not come back. I mean, I get told, you know, all the time, you know, you look great. And look,
You do look great.
You know, I've actually lost track of my age, but I think I'm 63. And really, I mean, I attribute that to a change in lifestyle, and a change in stress level. And let me just say to that, Ben, I don't know, maybe if you lived in a cave somewhere and had unlimited funds, you could live a life that was no stress ever. But the fact is that no matter what one does, I mean, I can say now, and one of my teachers taught me this, that one of the most important things in life is to be able to say, I love what I do. And I could never do that as a lawyer. And I can say that now. But even though that I love what I do, I mean, there's still stresses that happen. You know, look, it can be that the toilet handle breaks and it's stressful, right? I mean, and it's a matter of, you know, what is the level of stress it causes and one's reaction to it. And so now it's just a completely different thing. And I get to live in a crystal gallery all day. And I certainly believe that living in that energy, you know, the bulk of the day for the bulk of the week certainly enhances my interaction with the universe and how I feel.
So what inspired you to open you had the bookstore for a while, and I remember when you had the Abbott Kinney location, I was there all the time. I was like always hanging out at Mystic Journey. I spent so much money there. And I was broke too. So I spent whatever I had on, I was like, that's where I wanted to go. Whenever I had some money, that's where I wanted to go. And you know what? I was that way since I was a little kid, by the way. I went to the metaphysical section of the bookstore, the New Age section of Walden Books at Eastgate Mall in Cincinnati, Ohio. You know what I mean? Like that was my favorite place to go. And so as an adult, the Bodhi Tree and Mystic Journey were my favorite places. And I had been going there for a long time, and I always noticed you had a few really large, beautiful crystals. Loved the authors that you would host in there for different book signings. I got so much out of meeting those authors. I just made it my business to meet everyone that came through Mystic Journey. I'm curious what inspired you to open the Crystal Gallery and expand the community in that direction?
Well, so I'm going to tie that into something you said just about going to the bookstore while you weren't rolling in dough, let's say. And, you know, one of the things that I work with people on in my life coaching sessions is scarcity mentality and transforming that into a mentality that the universe will provide. Because those are, you know, the two sides of the same coin, and you know, to really create what one wants in their life, it's super important to not be moving forward in fear of scarcity, whether it's, you know, monetary or love or whatever it may be, and to begin to develop and then nurture and blossom this feeling that the universe is there to provide. And so, you know, in terms of the gallery, the bookstore, I mean, actually a couple of days ago, we just had our 14th anniversary. It's pretty, wow. Pretty amazing. Wow. And so I don't know, this was probably, you know, 5-ish or more years ago. As you said, my crystals, the crystals that we carried at the bookstore started to organically get larger. And I actually had, from some of the crystal people that I've worked with over the years, they've mentored me into how to grow our crystal offerings to the public. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'd really like another space so that we could house more and larger crystals. And what I really wanted was to have, you know, the crystal gallery right next to the bookstore, but on Abbott Kinney, I couldn't do that because I had a house next to me and a restaurant, and it just wasn't conducive. And the rest of the street was just like full and crazy expensive. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, whatever, I guess it'll happen sometime. But I had actually sort of let it go. And out of the blue, my landlord from the bookstore came to me without me asking and said, hey, I have a space for you. It might be great for you to have some big crystals. And so, I mean, this goes to manifesting. I mean, I had a concept in my mind that I wanted to do, and the universe provided. I mean, it provided, and we moved. I mean, I remember going there. It was right before I went to the Tucson Gym Show. It was raining that day, and I went and I saw a space like, oh my God, I got to do this. It's just, it's fallen in my lap. And so we took that amazingly beautiful space, which you and our good friend Jenny helped create and make stinking magnificent. And and we had a great run there. And I'll just continue the story a little bit. You know, when COVID hit, and people weren't out. And, we also had an event space and yoga studio, which definitely nobody could go to during COVID.
Right.
I had already planned to move the bookstore before COVID. And so I moved the bookstore during COVID. And while we were doing the build out to that space, I got a call from somebody who had the space next door to me who said, "Hey, I really want to get out of here. Would you like to sublease this space?" And I was like, holy crud. Here it is. Here was my vision manifesting that I could now have my gallery right next to the bookstore. It took a little while. I mean, this is something people need to learn. And, there is no time, right? It happens in its own time, and then we all have to be patient. But it actually manifested that I was now going to have the bookstore and the gallery right next to each other, and we moved the gallery, and now that exists. My dream exists in the physical world.
Incredible. Yeah, incredible. I love that they're next to each other. And of course it was disappointing to close the space during COVID, and that was a really hard thing to know what's happening and to watch happen. But to have the new spaces right next door. I remember we were always driving clear across.
Yes.
It was just Venice, but middle of the day, back and forth a couple times to the two locations, clear across either side of Venice.
I think a lot of times situations occur and opportunities really do fall, as the proverb says, literally fall into people's laps, and they don't act. And look, it was not easy for me to just, okay, we're going to move the gallery. We're just going to do this and hope for the best. Moving anything, when the bookstore actually moved up Abercrombie I had two times I was actually on two different locations on Abercrombie, and look, just moving 2 blocks, people lost track of us. So, it's hard to move. And so, but this was again where, I keep coming back to this from the beginning of our conversation. It's about trusting the universe. And I went forward like, okay, this is it. What I wanted is happening. I can't say no. That would just, I just knew, again, it was intuitive, listening so much to that inner voice. It's so important in life. I found that, and I also share this with my life coaching. When you hear that inner voice and you follow through, and the result is what you want, it builds confidence that you can trust your inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with manifesting. When somebody wants to manifest something, and they use the techniques that, whether it's in the, Think and Grow Rich, all these famous books out there, or my book, and they use the techniques, and what they wanted to creates, it manifests, it builds confidence, and it builds faith that what they're doing works. And it really is, faith is such a key. No doubts that what you're doing will create what you want, manifest what you want. And so, it's a matter of working and building up and building up. And so I had a lot of faith in that move, and it's worked out great.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think the role, like contribution or altruism or karma, plays in manifesting?
I think it really depends on the internal psychic cycle relationship. Look, you can be altruistic and then the rest of the day act like a jerk. And I don't think that has anything, then the altruism is sort of lost. If one is being altruistic in life, in their whole life philosophy and their interaction with other human beings, and then adds to it, let's say by being, by giving money or time or ideas to a charity, I think that, that builds in, again, all of this stuff. And this is really and thanks for asking. The second half of my book is about really a philosophy of how to live. I think that you can do all of the, I mean, it's no different than an athlete. Look, you can learn, let's just say baseball, for example. You can go and take all of the studies on how to bat. But then if you go and become a 500-pound person, you're not going to bat well. Right. And so with creating and in manifesting, you can learn all the techniques on how to manifest. But if the rest of your life you're being selfish or you're being hurtful to others, I mean, yes, you can still manifest those things maybe, but it certainly is more difficult. And so I think that, you know, to answer your question, I think that being altruistic and doing good things, it greases the wheels of creation.
Yes, it greases the wheels. I love that. Yeah, I was just picturing that. I was like, it creates like a grace in that process. There can be a greater flow for it. It's like the premise of manifestation is based on our connection to the universe.
Oh, yeah.
And our connection to the universe is, of course, connection to each other. And so like our exchange and interaction with other people and other living beings is fundamental.
Yes.
What I love about how you run a business, because I've been able to see the inner workings in some ways of your process over the years. I love that you really care about the people you're interacting with. You want your team to feel good. You want to be able to communicate with the team thoroughly. As soon as we started to work together, I felt very much like you were present with me about what you were looking for, but you were also very open to what I could bring. And so it was very relational. And I also saw throughout the process when there were challenges with guests or clients or customers or teachers. Yeah. Whenever there was challenges, I always really appreciated your willingness to be flexible and to hear people out and to give people a chance.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, you know, my business philosophy is really grounded in bringing people who are experts around me to do certain things that I'm not an expert in. I mean, there are things that I'm very good at, but there are other things where, you know, I want to bring in the best person I know, because that's their area of expertise. And look, and then share ideas. I mean, I'll give them my ideas, or if they say something, I certainly have no problem in saying, that doesn't sound quite right, or let's tweak it a little bit. And then you work, you know, again, it's no different than the health thing. You work together as a team. I think, I mean, there's stuff about meditating and helping the world. I mean, there's no doubt that when a group of people meditate together, it's a stronger force than just one person sitting alone in a room. Not that one person sitting alone can't do much, but certainly I think more together creates a stronger energy field. And it's the same thing in business. A team, a strong team is really what what creates the best possible outcome.
Mm-hmm. What would you say the biggest, the best gem, or to use that term, gem or tip or piece of wisdom that you've received that's helped you as a leader and as a community leader in your business? You have, I don't know how many employees you have, but your team is huge. You have a lot of people, and there's the actual employees, but then you also have all these different readers and teachers, and then not to mention all of that even larger concentric circle of all of the people that pop in to host their book launch event or whatever kind of workshop they're doing. So you're central to a really extensive community. What's like a leadership gem that you have for us?
A few things cross my mind. First, I would say to be loving. with the people who you interact with. And then second, be open and honest. I mean, and this is sort of a life philosophy for me. I mean, whether it's with, you know, my coworkers. I mean, one thing I was actually given this wisdom. I never say people work for me; they work with me. But whether it's in business or with friends or with, you know, partners, I'm all about no games. I mean, just speak your mind. You know, I'm not really divulging anything, but I've had, you know, life coaching sessions where people are talking about relationships and, you know, sort of playing the game, you know, and acting a certain way. And I'm just like, I just don't believe in that. I think you need to be, you know, if people know that you're straightforward with them, you're not talking any BS, you know, you're telling them how it is and you're, you know, and you're feeling, I think it builds a level of respect and trust. You know, and then again, I mean, so we had, and then the third thing is being of service, as great a service as you can. I mean, I had somebody come in the other day and it was like, they had just gotten engaged, they were getting married, and it was his fiance's birthday, and it was that night, and they were going out to dinner, and he wanted to surprise her, and he's like, look, you know, will you let me take this? It was a fairly large crystal, it weighed like 70 pounds. Will you let me take this and show it to my fiance, and if she doesn't like it, can we just exchange it tomorrow? And I was like, and you know, we have a no exchange or returns on crystals and things like that. But this guy was so warm and heartfelt and really wanted to do this. I was like, sure. And he, in return, he was just so effusive about how much he appreciated, you know, us doing that for him. And that's, you know, that's what we want to do. We want to be of service. I mean, another thing that just comes to mind, and then I'll stop. And I think this is a lost thing. I'm very big. I mean, I was actually taught this by the senior partner in my law firm. I'm very big on responding virtually immediately to any overture, whether it's a phone call or an email or a text. I mean, I want to respond virtually immediately, or and certainly no more than, you know, 24 hours, unless it's the weekend and then it's Monday morning. And I tell this to all the people that I work with and my event coordinator, you know, because it's a lost thing. And when you respond quickly now, people are like, wow, that was really fast. Thanks so much. So it's about, it's service and responsiveness.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to you being responsive and being of service in how you run your business.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, you know, from my lessons at Builders of the Additum, they bring in a lot of different teachings and tools, and some of it, or a lot of it's involved in the tarot. And one of the things I learned is that there's, you know, what most people know are what's called the major arcana or arcana, which are the keys 1 through 21. Well, they're all assigned to the various attributes, but key 21, which is the world, which is sort of the final key in the major arcana, is assigned to service. And really the concept there is that really the highest thing we can do, the greatest good we can give, is to be of service to our fellow humans and our Mother Earth.
Love that. Love that so much. Well, I mean, you're definitely doing that, you know, and you're empowering a lot of people who are also doing that. I know that when my first book came out, you really supported it. Mystic Journey and Mystic Journey Books and the gallery both supported it. The community really showed up for that. And I've seen many other authors and teachers and people helpers really be blessed by the support that you offer. And I think that you're a great example for how to contribute in that kind of way. And in today's world, where so much of what we're doing, in my opinion, when it comes to modern spirituality, the exploration of natural healing modalities, a new way of looking at religion or religious practices and spiritual and religious study and community, exploration of the intuition, all of these kinds of things. It's a return to our nature. It's a return to the natural way of engaging with ourselves and with each other. And so it's really, really cool to see that you're facilitating that, and you're holding so much space. You're holding such a valuable platform for so many other teachers, and you're actually coaching now. So really, I just want to say, anyone who's listening who is in Los Angeles, please do go to Mystic Journey on Main Street in Santa Monica. There's Mystic Journey Bookstore and Mystic Journey Crystals right next door to each other. And also, I want to talk a little bit about your life coaching. So like, what kinds of circumstances would you say are your specialty, or what kinds of people are you finding that you're drawn to working with?
You know, the answer to the first part of the question is really, I mean, it's been eye-opening to me. What people come to me with runs the gamut of issues. I mean, I had a woman who like worked on a yacht with a Russian oligarch who was having trouble trying to figure out how to like leave the yachting world. I had, you know, I mean, I've had, you know, the personal relationship stuff, people who are, let's just say, getting older in life and trying to figure out what to do with the, you know, with the let's say the last third of their life. It's a whole gamut. It's a whole gamut of things, but everybody's looking, the constant thread through everything is that everybody is looking to make some change. Everybody is looking, and that, you know, everybody's looking to either add something to their life or change something in their life. And they're looking, you know, I mean, we have amazing, wonderful, we call them intuitive readers, but other people call them psychic readers at our store. I mean, many of our readers have been with us for almost the whole duration, over 10 years. So without a doubt, they are helping people, but they help in a different way. They have some ability. I mean, they're all professional readers. That's all they do. They have some ability to connect, either to, you know, to sort of access the timeline and see, you know, what can be coming up in the future, or access people who have passed, you know, into another plane. That's not what I do. I mean, I really sit down with people and work through where they're at and where they're going, where they want to go, and work with them to provide techniques and other guidance to facilitate the creation of what they want.
Love that. And so how do we get in touch? Like, are you available for coaching? If anyone's listening and they kind of want to pop in, check it out, do you offer like open coaching?
Yeah, I do. I do sessions in the bookstore and also remotely. Excuse me. They can reach me. I mean, our website is mysticjourneybookstore.com. They can go there. They can walk in and schedule a session. On our website, there's a whole, you know, page for readers where I'm included as well. So, cool. You know, it's easily accessible.
Nice.
And I just want to, if you don't mind, I want to add one thing that you mentioned a moment ago, and that's just, I mean, you said, I mean, the name of your podcast is Modern Spirituality, and in that moment when you said it, it just hit me that, you know, I mean, look, there are people among us who don't believe in God, and that's cool, or a higher power, or whatever you want to call that. But I think most of us have something in our core that there is some connection to an additional, I want to say an additional power. I mean, an additional level of creative abilities. And, you know, one of the things that I feel very strongly about with modern spirituality is that we need, you know, however people connect with that higher connection to help them, you know, create what they want in their lives. we need to be tolerant of letting people do it in their own way. There is no one single answer. There's no one right way. I analogize it to a wheel, and there's the center of the wheel and all these spokes coming out, right? And how people get to the center, as long as it's, filled with love and goodness and improving themselves, who am I to say that their way is not the best way for them? And so I think in modern spirituality, there's a myriad of ways to improve oneself and their interaction with the world.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that that's what's so important about this idea of the journey of the mystic. I see mystic as someone who is focused on and prioritizes the direct experience with divine or with the higher power. And it's the mystic is the practitioner. There's something about you're only classified as a mystic if you're really trying to experience the ineffable, have some kind of connection to the intuition, to the higher power, to the higher self, to the creator, to the angelic realm,
Yeah.
And is every single life so completely different? Of course it is. Aren't we all so highly individual? So of course our way in and up is going to be deeply.
And in line with that comment about the mystic, I really feel, if people can really, it takes effort and discipline to be a mystic, to be on a mystical path, but it really involves not just being a mystic in the moment you meditate, or in the moment you're, at your spiritual or religious facility, or on special holidays. It's about being that mystic all the time, as much as possible, moment to moment. And that really is, it's so helpful to really create everything you want, and to bring the world to a better place, to be on that path all the time, as much as possible. None of us are perfect, so it's not going to be, every second, every day, but as much as possible, I think is a good thing for people to strive for.
Yeah, and I think that you're a great coach for someone who wants to have that grounded spirituality in their lives, because you're deeply practical. You are also deeply intuitive. So you're very, that's what the ageless wisdom has always proven. When you meet the elders of any tradition, they have that balance that I see that you have. You have that balance of yes, the mystical and the spiritual is true, and it's always true. It's true inside this budget meeting. It's true inside, this team meeting for whatever we're doing. It's true while we're remodeling the space, and it's true while I'm meditating. And then you also say, we also have things to do. We also have to, to use the Buddhist expression, we have to chop the wood and carry the water. So there's, I do know that, and I learned a lot from you in all of that. You expected very clear communication, very, very clear deliverables. And that was something that I really, really appreciate and respect about you, is that you are, and I think anyone who is interested in actually moving through something, achieving something new, activating a new chapter in their life, turning the page, I think that you're a great person to support and facilitate, sort of like act as like a doula and a coach and a guide through a transition, and really consciously infuse that transition with what you actually want from it. We did that together, and I watched it happen, and I wish there was a documentary about it.
Yeah.
It was a truly special process to watch it go from idea to actualization. And something that's also really special about you is you sell these crystals, but you actually go to South America and go to some of these mines. You've been to these mines where the amethyst and some of the other stones are actually drawn from.
I mean, I pick all of our crystals myself, and I've been there and I know the whole process from mine to our store. And I've met wonderful people and wonderful families down there. And again, it's about, it's about building relationships. And, I've built relationships with these people from all over the world who are willing to say, sure, come on down. You can stay with us at our house. I'll take you around. And again, it's about, it's about being loving and caring and, being loyal to these people, it's been an amazing and continues to be an amazing journey.
Love that. Well, I'd love to have you on again.
I want to be back.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to put your links in the show notes. Check it out. Anyone listening, if you're in LA, please come check out Mystic Journey in Santa Monica, the bookstore, the Crystal Gallery, great selection of books, all kinds of good stuff there. Get all the crystals of literally every size and every kind, all the oracle decks, all of and a broad range, by the way. It's not just metaphysical category of books. It's also there's acupuncture books and books that are specific to all the different religious and spiritual paths, books on astrology, all different kinds of really good stuff. One of my favorite places. Definitely go check it out. Check out Jeff's new podcast, the Mystic Journey podcast. And also the link is in the show notes if you're interested in possibly, booking a session with Jeff. To help manifest that next chapter in your life. Thanks for being here, Jeff.
Thanks, Ben. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, again soon.
Yes, for sure.